with distinction. With distinction. So he's a very distinct person that we're having for this session from the University of Nottingham in the UK. With a vast experience at the executive management and board level, he has huge experience at that level. I mean, being the CEO of the ethanol company is a very high position for such an individual, and also how she's been able to achieve such heights. We would leave that to her when she comes on to speak to us. And yes, she's also served on the boards of various entities in Malawi. So without much I would say about our astute speaker, I would entreat us all to react to Mrs. LUSUBILO CHAKANIZA as she takes the platform to speak with us. Thank you. Mrs. LUSUBILO, please, you have the platform.
Thank you very much, Desmond. And thank you for having me. I think I should appreciate Vanessa. She's the one who actually told me about this initiative. And I just felt compelled to actually be part of the change that you're making as young leaders. So I hope that by the time we finish this conversation, we'll have one or two people who will be inspired to actually break barriers and go beyond the norm in their career journeys. So basically, I have about 7 slides that I will be reflecting on. And I would want that probably we reserve most of the time for just a minute. Okay, my son Peter is helping me with something. Right. Yeah, so we reserve most of the time for conversations at the end. I'm happy to actually also hear other experiences because I know that there are people who are experienced in the room, and there's also what we call reverse coaching and mentoring. So I know that the young ones would also be able to share some other things that I don't know. So I look forward to this conversation, and let's just carry on with what it is all about. So I'll give a short introduction, just a background and landscape that actually triggers me to be sharing these insights that I'm sharing today. I'll look at the barriers, and then I'll share my personal journey and the strategies that I have used to overcome some challenges, and then I'll conclude. As a way of introduction, just looking at this profile on the slide, it's showing global trends in working age population. And predictions are showing that in 2060, Africa's working population would be the highest in terms of age. So if you can see on the graph, it is already growing. Africa's working age population is already growing. The demographic dividend is growing, and it is providing a window of opportunity for African working people to actually contribute and be productive. Whether those jobs are there is another question, and whether we have the right skills is also another question that we need to look at. But if you look at reports on the future of jobs, it's showing that almost all the fastest growing jobs are related to the STEM environment. They are STEM related, and women and young people form almost half of the population. And the trends are showing that in 2060, it will be like that. About half of the population will be women and young people. So there is a need for continuous role modeling and demystifying the myths around STEM paths being difficult and navigating the challenges that people face in the STEM world. If we try to look at the barriers, you go even online and just check barriers, you find that most of the articles will give you these 6 as the main barriers. There's always gender bias and stereotypes, lack of role modeling, and at the workplace, there's a lot of discrimination and harassment. There's talk of pay disparity and mentorship and networking opportunities not being there because there are not a lot of people in the STEM world who are women anyway, and also the issue of work-life balance and the nature of the nature of jobs in the STEM world. So I'll try to refer to these as I'm talking about my own personal journey and how I have been able to navigate around some of these barriers. And probably at the end, we'll also just try to talk about general issues that are appearing out there. In terms of my personal journey, this is my life milestone from 1974 when I was born. So I was born in a family of 6 children. 5 of them are boys. So probably that relates to why I picked quite a strange career in the STEM environment. But growing up, I actually went to an all-girls primary school. And of course, just next to it, there was a boys' primary school. And I was staying around the area, a walking distance from my school. Life at school was always a competitive one, being just besides a boys' school. So you had your benchmark as the boys' school. If you look at success, you're looking at primary school living certificate, how many boys have been selected to secondary school, how many girls have been selected to secondary school. So there was always competition from a young age trying to outshine one another by looking at the two schools next to each other. Going into secondary school, there was a bit of a switch. I did 1 year in an all-girls secondary school, but then transferred to a co-ed school. And this co-ed school was quite far away from my base. I was staying in Blantyre. The city of Blantyre is in the south of Malawi. And I had to move up to Livingstonia, which is about 800 kilometers or so from Blantyre. So it was really quite a challenge. And even going there to Livingstonia at that time, you had to get off the bus and walk up an escarpment for 16 kilometers. So quite an adventure it was, something that you would not want to look forward to when it's time to go to school and then come back for holidays. But at the end of the day, as a co-ed school, I think it was very interesting to see that when you are competing in classrooms and writing exams and you tend to be in the top 10 of the class, the boys would come in and say, it's because, the teachers favor you as girls. So there was that stereotyping that was felt from quite a really young age. And I used to actually challenge the boys that time that, okay, when we are writing MSc exams, there will not be any names. They will not know which sex this, this student is. And let's see if it's going to be favoritism that we can use as a label of success. So it so went like that. I think when the exams came out, I was also top of the class and selected to Chancellor College to pursue a Bachelor of Science degree. If I go back to the time that I was making my choice of selection, I remember that my first choice at that time was actually business administration. And my physics teacher, who was a man, he died, may his soul rest in peace, actually saw that and said, no, you can't actually choose business administration. You have to choose science. With the level of intelligence that you have, science is the right course for you. But I was like, no, I don't want that. I think I was still childish at that time. And choosing business administration was because it was being offered in Blantyre, where I was born and grew up, and I wanted to go back to a university in Blantyre. Science was being offered in a college that was about 60 kilometers away from Blantyre. So that's, childhood mannerism in me just kept me away from what I should have been doing, I would be best at. But I think I would like to actually acknowledge the support that you get from those that are around you, showing you the way and trying to just, give you the direction as they see it. So I think one of the strategies that I have highlighted here, you can see that you cannot succeed alone. You can just be as good as the support system behind you, because even going through into university, there was a lot of support that came in from the lecturers and the people around me. I do recall that when I was in university doing my final year, I got pregnant with my son, Peter, and there were friends around me who actually helped me to navigate that challenge and still pass my exams with a credit to graduate from Chancellor College with the Bachelor of Science degree. And then going into family life, we have a young man, Peter. My husband, Henry, is here. He's a medical doctor by profession. It was also quite a challenge to see how we could navigate a young life. We are both working parents. We have a child with us at home, and we had to make sure that we are covering all responsibilities around us. In Malawi, in Africa, we also know about extended family and the fact that you have to support people within your extended families. So from a very young age, we had to really just get going onto, supporting people and also trying to build our own careers. So it was quite interesting to also just see how it is important to support one another while you're also trying to make sure that you are exceeding in your careers as a young family. I think what I can also say at this point in time that as I went through this phase of my life, it was a life of believing that you can do anything you want. If I go back to my young days, looking at our family, how we grew up, my parents used to say you can do anything that you want. And being the only girl, everyone would think that I would be in the kitchen and my brothers would be actually doing other things, but there was nothing like that. We grew up the same. Everyone was doing house chores and we were able to support one another. In fact, I have one of my brothers who is a chef in Malawi, a renowned chef in Malawi, and I never liked cooking. So I just was the unique person that I had to be without actually, living a false life. I was just authentic and lived my life the way I was supposed to live because I needed to actually carry on with what God wanted me to be. Going into the next transition, this is my career life now. I am in the academia. I started my career in the academia in 1997. I was a physics and energy lecturer at the Polytechnic. Very young woman. I've just come back from college. I've just graduated. And at this point in time, I am going into classes where some of the people are much older than me, and whether they could believe that I was really teaching them the right stuff is one thing, and the challenge that I had to actually overcome at that time. I do recall one of the classes, it was a class that was talking about nuclear physics, I think. And there was a topic around the National Aeronautical Space Agency, and someone asking me, where is it? Is it in space or is it in America? Is that a trick question or what? And then you try to, questions like that now try to make you think that, oh, you need to prepare very well when you are facing people. You cannot just take, you cannot just think that, take people for granted that they don't know, and sometimes they can trick you. So you need to prepare very well for anything, knowing that life as it is, you can't know everything. So that was my life in the academia, in the university. In between 1997 and 2002, that's when I did my master's from 2000 to 2001. I went to the UK for that. It was also a step in my life where work-life balance had to kick in again. I'm leaving my family, my husband and my child. That time he is 3 years old, and then going away to a far land. Just looking at the lonely life. Just looking at the lonely life there, and also the fact that I had to come out of there with my degree to come back home and continue with my journey in my career. Coming back home in 2002, my husband had moved to Dwangwa. It's a sugar estate. He's a medical doctor, so he picked up a job with Dwangwa. And it is a time that we had to make that decision to actually transition in my career as well. So I had to also look at opportunities within Dwangwa and found the job at ESCO, where I am now. And if you look at the rest of the years, this is just transitioning within ESCO from a management trainee to the various positions that I carried up to being a chief executive. In 2002, when I was transitioning, when I was actually being interviewed for the job at ESCO, I was actually also pregnant. And it was quite fascinating because here is this pregnant lady going for an interview, and the interview involved a tour of the plant. Now, those of you who know a distillery, a distillery is a long tower. So there are like 6 levels of the distillery, and the control room is on the first level. So here is this pregnant woman amongst other, people who are being interviewed, but I was able to brace, the challenge and just act as if nothing is wrong and just be in my space to make sure that I don't get compromised because of my situation. So that was quite interesting. And I remember when our child Tupu at that time was born, I also had to compromise in terms of going back to work earlier than I would have gone if I was on a normal maternity leave for 3 months. It is a time when I also got a lot of support from relatives around in Dwangwa to make sure that I was able to meet my work commitments as well as my family commitments. I would like to talk about an issue related to working the extra mile. In 2007, the GM at that time at ESCO decided that the theme for that year would be taking care of the environment. And he was very resolute on the fact that ESCO needed to have a defined environmental management system. And whether that would be done within the company with the expertise that was there was a question that we had to answer. And I was quick to take the challenge and say, I will combine 2 jobs. So I took 2 jobs at that time and actually became also a safety, health, and environment and quality coordinator, and led the company to certification for ISO 14001. So I just want to actually challenge you all at this point in time that when you are employed, it doesn't mean that you should just focus on what you are employed for. You need to look at what strengths you have and leverage on those strengths to set yourself apart and walk that extra mile. So it was at this stage that my career really transitioned because I was able to showcase my leadership skills. As a shift coordinator, there were 4 people on the shift. We are doing more or less a similar job, and it was difficult to actually stand out. But once I took up this other role, I was able to showcase my leadership skills, and that became my path for growth, rising into the company, into senior management, and then general management. So issues of overcoming workplace discrimination within the workspace at that time, I think I was just one of we were 2 ladies that time, my boss and I, in production. And this is a factory that is supposed to have probably male and female washrooms, but there was nothing like that. I had to brace myself and say, okay, I'll be using the male washrooms as well. After all, at home, we don't have male and female washrooms. So I was able to shun any discrimination, and even the fact that I was a management trainee at some point, and you have operators who are supposed to be lower than you, and they're telling you to go and open a valve somewhere. And because you want to learn, you just have to eat the humble pie and do it. And then later on, try and tell people why we do certain things because of you are leveraging on the skills that you already have. So I think there was some sort of humility that really kicked in. Humility is one of my character strengths, actually. So it wasn't difficult for me to overcome any discrimination and just make sure that I was focusing on learning and growing rather than just looking at gender stereotypes and any bad or negative attitude that was given my way by the other gender. 2014 was the year that I reached the top of this company. There was an opportunity that arose, a vacancy arose in the general manager space, and all of a sudden I was made to act. I was told that I would be acting as the general manager. It was quite a surprise to me because I had just taken my production manager's job in 2012, and at that time I thought I wasn't ready to be at the top of the company. So when I took up the acting position, I was just saying, oh, okay, I'm just doing this, someone else will come. I'm waiting for the next general manager to come. But then because of some fear within me to say, if things go wrong, it will be Swilo who will be actually, be made accountable. I did my acting role so well that when the time people will be in, the opportunity to be interviewed came, I actually just, sailed through without any challenges because I knew the company. I had that experience of running the company. Going back to walking the extra mile, I do recall at the time when I was doing my leadership development program, there was also an opportunity to put up a performance management system for the company, and I jumped in on that to help the HR and admin section to do that. And one of the areas where I didn't have that expertise and knowledge was finance management. So I had to, develop a strategy on how to make sure that I was able to quickly, grasp what finance management is all about. And I did tell my colleague, the chief finance officer at that time, that he would be my boss in as far as finance management is concerned. So the humility kicked in as well there. And I had to make sure that year I had to learn how to, interpret and read management accounts and make sure that everything that is on the balance sheet, on the P&L, and on the cash flow statement, I am able to understand where it is coming from and how I can now add value to finance management in the company. So I would like to just focus on the fact that there is need to be humble and walk the extra mile with diligence, and also to be observant and learn if you want to excel in a field that you are not quite competent with, but also if you want to set yourself apart, like I said before. My career as a CEO has been a mixed bag from 2014 up to now. This is about 10 years now. This is my 11th year as a CEO. I did say that as a young CEO, when I got my position, first as an acting GM and then as the CEO, I was literally, thrown in the deep end. And I do recall when at some point, I used to refer to everything to my boss at that time. He was staying in Blantyre. And there was at some point when I picked up the phone to refer something to him, if I should approve it, he actually said, I have actually put you in that position to make those decisions. And that was something that also just let me, try to start swimming and stay afloat amidst all the challenges that the company was facing at that point. It was a time when I became a CEO. I had not really settled in the production manager's position. I had 2 years in there, but then I also needed to look at who can be my mentor, who can I look at and network with so that I can learn fast. And it was difficult at that time. I think looking at the profile of CEOs at that time, it was just difficult. Here's a young CEO, I'm a lady, and just to get people to be on your side and tell you things as it were was something that was difficult. Luckily, when the recruitment was being done, there was also an issue of an opportunity for learning, because one of the CEOs that was in the PCO group at the moment was a CEO that had been a general manager before at ESCO. And he actually just took me as one of his mentees and helped me to navigate the challenges within my career, my young career days. And I do recall him at some point when he actually just came to me based on how I was writing emails to people who were below me. And he said, you need to practice some emotional intelligence here, because, people, you don't know what they're thinking. You don't know where they're coming from when they wake up in the morning. And you just need to make sure that you are able to practice emotional intelligence and be in their shoes and understand where they are coming from when they make certain decisions. So it was quite an adjustment that I had to do at that time, and it has really reaped its benefits in my career life, as it were. I do recall also that in 2015, 2016 was a time when we had issues to do with raw material pricing challenges, and also the fact that the raw material was not enough. The company was not able to make the margins that it should have been made at that time. And we had to make decisions to start importing raw materials. A decision that was not a popular decision at that time, but it had to be made. And with that decision, we were able to survive during that year. But going forward, there was also another change related to packaging for one of the products that we sell, which ends up in the alcohol industry. And Malawi changed the liquor packaging quality from plastic to glass bottles. So it was a time when the company really, went down because there was no market in the country. And looking at outside the country, the prices were so low. Looking on the other products that we're producing at that time, it was fuel ethanol pricing was also very low at that time. The global oil prices were going down, and we had to, make decisions to try and restructure the company. So between 2017 and 2019 were years that were the toughest in my life, trying to look at strategies to cut costs. And in the end, when we couldn't hold on any longer, we had to do retrenchments. And it was one of those periods when you would look at yourself, you're telling people that we have to let go of you, and you think that you have failed. It was quite a tragic situation for me, for my career life. And having to turn around from that moment was really a challenge. And what I can say about this is the issue of having a coach is very important, because that was a time when I really needed my coach to just, be my sounding board and help me to overcome the challenges that we're facing at that point in time. And also that at that time, that's the time that I started, when I got coaching, because that was the time I really got serious coaching, started thinking that I think coaching was a good skill to use as a leader, a skill that I have combined with my other leadership traits to make sure that I am able to get people empowered and let them make decisions on their own. So yeah, from that turnaround strategy between 2019 and 2022, we've been navigating the challenges spanning from COVID and the Russia-Ukraine war and everything else that you have seen. I think everyone here is old enough to know what has been happening in the past 5-6 years, and the need for innovation and making sure that you are able to be agile as a business is very critical, even in the current environment. And we had to put in diversification strategies that helped us to look at other products. What can we do? How can we solve the challenges that are there on the market, and just to stay afloat? And I'm happy to say that we didn't actually feel the pinch at that time because of these innovation strategies. And then looking at the current situation in Malawi at the moment, we're facing forex and fuel issues. it's just difficult, you know, to thrive, especially in the manufacturing environment, because there's a lot of maintenance spares that we buy from outside the country, and we are currently also implementing projects that require us to have enough forex. So it is a critical stage whereby we have to look at, do we want to export and get less margins, or sell within the country and have enough margins so that we can be able to meet our forex needs? It's something that we had to look at and see how we can sustain business growth amidst plans to expand the business. So it's been quite an agile journey, and applying a lot of dynamism and making sure that we are able to engage and gather solutions in order to survive. And I think one thing that has been very critical is to make sure that you are trusting the team behind you to make the solutions. Like I said, coaching has helped in my view, but also the fact that when people make decisions, you should be able to make sure that you are rallying behind them, and if things go wrong, then you are able to take accountability for that as a team. So it has been quite a tough journey in the past 5-6 years. And one thing that I actually saw that was wearing me down is the fact that I wasn't resting. You come home, you are still thinking, you're not sleeping. And I had to learn how to shut down, just to make sure that when I come home, I'm just resting. Because if I don't rest, then it can be a journey that will be stressful. You know, you have this cumulative fatigue and stress, preventing you from actually being productive. So at the end of the day, when you have all these challenges working in such a life, the issue of remembering to actually just shut down and re-energize yourself is very important, as well as you're trying to navigate through your life, your career life at the top. So basically, these are the strategies, just to look at the others that probably I haven't touched on, the issues of pay disparity. I think what I can advise is the issue of getting value from what you offer. And getting value from what you offer also depends on how you're performing as a person. Because if you're not performing, it's really difficult to make sure that you're getting what your value is. It is a sensitive matter, the issue of pay disparity, because pay is really something that not everyone knows. It is difficult to really know where you are sometimes when you are at the top. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you are able to carry those conversations with your supervisors to make sure that you are being compensated appropriately. The issue of role modeling, in our time, like I said, when we were young, there was no coaching and mentoring. We never even used to hear about coaches, but now it's a very common phenomenon that is helping a lot of people. So as young leaders wanting to navigate, challenging environments, I think getting coaching and mentoring is important for success. Having those sounding boards, just having someone to listen to you, listen to your thoughts and try to help you navigate your challenges is very important. It seems like an expensive intervention, but it really reaps its rewards. So I would encourage that approach in terms of your growth. Role modeling, I think, in terms of role modeling, look at people who you have common interests in, or read about people who have gone through the type of life that you have, that you want. And I know that now life is on our fingertips, so you can actually get all the information that you want. There are audio books, there are a lot of memoirs and biographies that you can read. just to try and inspire yourself to navigate the challenges by hearing stories of others. And the other issue is growing beyond the STEM environment. If you look at my career path, I was a scientist up to a certain point in time, but now I'm actually a corporate executive. So there is need for one to align themselves with global trends and accelerating integration of essential talents and skills. I did say in my first slide that the future of jobs is STEM related. So there are a lot of jobs related to AI, machine learning, data analysis, data science, and whatsoever. So growing demand for data analysts. There's the green economy that is actually taking center stage, growing demand for renewable energy engineers and what have you. But then at the end of that all, you need to have the soft side of yourself to make sure that you can be able to excel to the top. That knowledge and skills in the STEM world will help you, yes, at a basic level, at technical level, but when you go up there, you have to actually make sure that you have the essential soft skills and talents that can make you stay there. So more of EQ rather than IQ when you are at the top. And then also the need for upcoming aspirants to equip themselves with diverse business skills and knowledge. I think nowadays we're talking more of entrepreneurship rather than, just running a business. So how can we think entrepreneurial and make sure that we're able to integrate various innovations without really breaking the policies out there. In conclusion, I would like to say that career has no gender. And when you're thinking career, don't think about what gender you are. Just think about what it is that you like and learn the skills to do that so that you can actually present yourself at your optimum and be as productive as possible. I did speak about getting a coach and mentor. I would like to stress on this. Get a coach, get a mentor. Coaching is about you providing solutions. Mentoring is about you hearing stories of others. So probably now I'm doing more of mentoring and sharing my story with you. Staying abreast with global trends and accelerating integration of essential talents and skills. I'm repeating this again. Break the hierarchical barriers within organizations and allow innovation to take center stage. I think working with the young people nowadays, young people are not people who want to follow structures. They want to be given a job and they get it done. So we need to actually allow that diversity to actually, take center stage in our organization so that that innovation can be utilized and we can be able to perform and move on. And lastly, the need to carry the character of the leader in you at every stage of your life. Try to excel, try to think, how can I influence every area of my life at every stage of my life as I am growing. So for this one, I would like to give, I normally give this website to people that I coach. It's a good, simple character strength assessment tool that you can look at. It will give you a profile based on how you answer the questions. And then with that, you can be able to leverage on the strengths that you have as a leader. And also if there are certain strengths that you need and they are not on your top 5, you can then look at strategies on how to develop those strengths to match whatever career or skills you need. So basically that's the end. I've got some references. I'm sure Desmond, you've got the contacts of the people. You're free to share this presentation. There's a lot of information that can be had, knowledge that you can get from the websites that I've shared. And I encourage you all to go and read and probably learn something from them as well. Yeah, so thank you. I think I've got my contact there on that barcode. If you can find me on LinkedIn. I'd like to thank Leading Change, particularly Vanessa, So Vanessa is one of the young ladies that I've coached before. And we do link up once in a while. And when she told me about this I think it was last month, I was quite humbled to actually hear from her that she would like me to share my story with Leading Change. And I'm happy to have shared it. I hope that more people who have also come on the line will go to your website and see what you're doing, and probably you can get to engage more young leaders to follow the initiatives that you're taking on. Thank you so much. I've also got our EFCO logo there. You can visit the EFCO website, LinkedIn page, and just see what we're doing. And we would be happy to get your feedback and ideas on how you think we can continue to add better value to the industry and largely to the world. Yeah, thank you very much. That is the end of my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions or insights.
Thank you, LUSUBILO, for the talk. So yes, right now we are at the question stage. So please, if you have any questions or contributions that you would want to make, this is the time. But before that, I would like to share a question that Angela Rewela shared in the chat section. So she said, "Hi, LUSUBILO. Thank you for your presentation and tips. I would like you to share on how one can navigate being in a workplace where your contributions to areas that are outside your expertise are never regarded. Starting out in my career and being trained, it can be difficult to gather the courage to step up and contribute to operations, and I badly want to do it. But I also do not want to step on people's toes because I do not know how that will be received by my supervisors and higher ups. How does one make it through the journey?"
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much. Is it Angela?
Angela.
Yes, thank you so much, Angela, for this question. I'd like to refer to something that I experienced. People, everyone has an ego. They want to show you that they know. They're the ones who know. You don't know better than them. It's their job. And when I was a management trainee at EFCO, I actually encountered such challenges that I think I know with the knowledge that I have. I know I'm from the academia. I've learned this in school. It might not be the same on the ground practically, but I don't want to, disappoint this person that what they're doing is not right, or that I have a better idea. So I used a sort of reverse mentoring or approach, whereby I kept on asking questions to this person on why they were doing things like that. And then when we had a problem, we were there discussing and then trying to see what is the solution. I knew the solution, but I didn't want to be the one saying it. So I kept on asking questions until the person now came in. Of course, the questions were leading questions. And, the person now came to the realization that, this is how we can do it. And whatsoever. Or you can tell them, but don't take the credit. Let them take the credit. It doesn't do any harm for them to take the credit. At the end of the day, you have achieved what you wanted to achieve. So it is actually the way you carry yourself to show that you are humble enough to not take the credit and make sure that you are able to contribute in a way that is mutual, rather than you being the first to come out. And also I can say that sometimes, nowadays, because it is a world where we have written communication and whatsoever, sometimes it could be something that can lead to a risk. It could be something that that if this is not done, then something can go wrong really bad. And try to write the person, try to explain, and try to let them know that you are together in this. You are not actually just imposing something on them. So it is really dependent upon how tactical you are to engage other people and influence them to carry on your ideas or decisions. Thank you.
It's great. So please, we are still getting in questions. So if you have any question, you can unmute and ask, or you can also send it in the chat com. Thank you.
Hi, Desmond. Can I come in?
Yes, please, you can. Yes, please, you can.
Oh, hi. It's Maya Ngombe from Malawi. I had no idea that there was anything like leading change. I actually got an invite from a friend in America who said, I know you're in the space of leadership development. There is this webinar tomorrow. So only after I registered did I see who the speaker was. And I was, that is Swillow. So I just wanted to add something that she did not put on her slides, maybe because as humble as she is. When we're talking about breaking barriers, when we're talking about breaking barriers and listening to her life story, you know, I was filled with emotions because I went through a period where I had to break a certain barrier and restructure my life and reinvent myself. And one thing that I needed was an encourager. Swilo, as we fondly call her, did not have to be that encourager, but she is someone that has been able to encourage me. She is somebody that I think believed in me more than I believed in myself. When I was trying to pick up my pieces, and there was a time I was doing little businesses, I know she didn't have to support me, but she encouraged me by buying from me. So I just wanted to also tell the participants that are listening here, I've just read a little on your profile that it is young leaders, that if you can't be anything else, then be an encourager to someone who is really, really trying. Because Lusuilo is one of those people that she is a coach. I'm sure she does that for monetary benefits to be paid, but she just gives of free will her knowledge and her encouragement. So Swilo, I just wanted to say thank you. And also thank you so much for sharing this story, which is filling in gaps for me that I didn't know about you. But you are a great person and you're a role model to many. And some of us are here and still thriving because you held our hands when you didn't have to. So thank you for that.
Oh, Maya, that is so humbling. Actually, I was surprised when I saw you, and I'm not surprised that you have now come out. Yeah, that is Maya for you. She'll come out, and she's a go-getter, as you say. You know, I looked at her and said, this lady doesn't know the value that she has, and she has made a lot of strides up to this point in time. She's actually doing so well. Thank you so much, Maya, for those words of appreciation, and well done for the journey that you have walked. Thank you.
That was very touching from Maya. Maya, thank you for joining us in. Yeah, that was very great. So we have another question from Rasmata Cabre. So she says, Hi, Lucibilo. Thanks for sharing your experience and empowering us today. What are the steps we can take to have you as a coach or mentor?
Right. So a lot of the coaching and mentoring I'm doing at the moment is related to my job, but you can engage me. I did share my LinkedIn profile. You can engage me via LinkedIn. Let's talk. I do coaching in my free time, mostly weekends. And depending on what you want, the challenges that you have, we can be able to, you know, link up and work together. Yeah. Thank you.
That is great. So we have another from Montandera V2 Faith. So the person says, Thank you for the presentation. I've learned a lot. I would like to know how you deal with imposter syndrome because even after coaching, self-doubt can still creep in. On the harder days, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you going?
Hi, Tondela. Good to see you are here. Thanks for coming. Imposter
Hi.
syndrome.
Yeah.
I actually also do have it. I didn't know. I didn't know that I have imposter syndrome until my coach, actually, was it 2 years ago, says, you know what that is? It's imposter syndrome. I was like, what do you mean? So it's something that we we do have. Maybe unconsciously we don't know. You always doubt yourself. Even when Vanessa told me about this this presentation that she wanted me to do this, the way she was speaking about me, I was like, am I really this? Is this a picture that she has of me? So, but I find that to be something that keeps me going. It's the same encouragement that Maya was saying, but it also keeps me going because I have this fear that I'm not doing. I'm probably not doing to the optimum how I'm supposed to be doing this. Then you apply yourself in a way that you're still trying to remain on top. So it's something that requires you to actually believe in yourself, just shut down from all the negativity that comes around you and tell yourself that I am Tondela and I know what I am. I know what I am able to achieve and just go ahead and achieve. Actually, men jump onto things more than us women. Even when men see an advert, they'll apply even when they know that the skills that are there are not the right skills. But for women, because we're so humble, we don't want to express ourselves. But once we put ourselves in there, people see us. We didn't know this one also can do this and whatsoever. So just be confident. I think you need to build your confidence levels up and make sure that you are able to articulate yourself so well and just be you, authentically you. I think that's the shortest way I can answer that question. But yeah, so you'll be surprised that I also do have it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Tondela.
you.
That was a very good question. So we have another one from Raj Munagi.
Maybe she also asked on the hard days, what keeps you motivated? What keeps
Yes,
you
what keeps you
going?
motivated? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did speak about shutting down and re-energizing, but I also want to share a certain method. It's called the Pomodoro method. I'll put it in the chat. I think you can Google it. So something is not working right, or you're just too busy, there's too much on your plate, you just need to stop and re-energize. I do that in my office, sometimes like a mad person. I'll just start walking around. I'll just, start, just shut down. So once I'm on task for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then it's getting tough. I just shut down and think of something else. Sometimes people even see me on WhatsApp quite often. It's because I'm doing that. I just say, okay, let me just look at what's here. I'm just trying to re-energize and putting myself back in the mood. So yeah, and then I'm staying on an estate. Dondera is also someone an estate baby. So she was here in Duango, now she's in Jalo. I go to the club. Go to the club and to just refresh and talk to people and sometimes sharing a challenge. Us ladies, we're good at sharing a challenge. I've got my friend Daisy's here, right? She's one of those confidants that I have. I'll just share the challenge and we'll talk about it. So yeah, have friends who you can trust that will be able to listen to your issues, no matter how silly they are. And yeah, that way you can be able to recharge. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very great. Yeah, thank
There's
you,
another.
Tondela. So there's another one from Raj Munangi, which says,
Yes.
most of the times work ethic is very low in Malawi with the employees, suppliers, and whomever you deal with in business. How did you manage this issue in your company? And what measures did you take to improve the work ethics and integrity in your organization?
Yeah, Raj. So for me, integrity is one of my values. Someone is not honest and they break that value, they know that they're on the wrong side of the fence with me. I think that's how I've been able to put that in my mutual expectations outright, even to new employees. And in the system, you need to have policies that are actually safeguards, to make sure that you are able to hold people accountable. So if you have the right policies in place, in line with the law, but also helping people to see that if this happens, then this is the consequence. Then you can be able to control that. Using systems like the tips off anonymous program and what have you, they also help for you to pinpoint. Having people, productive is a challenge, but you can use performance management systems that have clear KPIs and make sure that at the end of a period, people can be held accountable and they can be let go because they haven't done what they're supposed to do. So I think having the proper structures and systems in place to handle, such situations would be the key thing to do. Because also nowadays, when you don't have those structures, no properly written down procedures and whatsoever, people go to the courts, and you know what the courts are like in Malawi. It will favor the employee, even if they are the one who have done something wrong, but because the procedure was not followed, because this was not followed, it will just favor the employee. So just make sure that you have a strong HR system around you and you are able to manage such issues. Thank you.
I think that is very great. So we have another one from
I just want to share about Raj as well. Raj is my friend. He's one of my friends. He's a very big entrepreneur in Malawi, but he stays there in America. I invited him to this conversation because he's also an inspiring person, and I was really humbled when he joined. So thanks for joining, Raj. I didn't expect you to be here.
Raj, we are also excited that you are here with us. Hopefully in the future we would have a session with you. So yes, we'll talk about that soon. We have another one from Modesta, which says, "Thank you for the insightful presentation. How do you deal with a situation where opportunities for growth and professional development are given to the male employees more than the female ones, even when the qualifications, experience, and positions in the workplace are the same?"
Quite a difficult one. I was listening to something when I was coming that there is what we call unconscious bias. Even sometimes when you're getting interviewed, just because you're a lady or because you're looking in a certain way, you already get judged and you're not given the opportunity. When you're women, even me, sometimes I do that unconscious bias. I'll give an example. When you look at someone who's not driving properly on the road, people say, "Hey, look at that lady," and then you drive past them, you see it's not a lady, it's a man. And then another example that I usually give, when we're sending people out for training and whatsoever, you want to give them a car. So most of them, they refuse to get the car if it's a manual car. Not necessarily that they can't drive, but because they're used to driving an automatic car. So I think some of the sometimes when men do that, when you're not given an opportunity, sometimes we don't, sit at the table. We don't jump at we don't seize the moment, but also it's because the systems that are there are not fair enough to actually show the clear path of growth. When it is like that, I guess it's a point where you have to check whether that is the right place for you to be, because you have value, and you need to make sure that your value is being appreciated. So yeah, seizing the moment. I did speak sometime at some point about walking the extra mile and making sure that you're setting yourself apart. If you can find a way to talk to that top boss, find an opportunity where the top boss just, wants to hear your views. Go be the first one to go and showcase your skills, because sometimes it might be someone who is at your level or a boss that is in the middle, and probably the one at the top doesn't know. Seize a moment whereby a presentation has to be made by a group, for example. So just be there and show yourself, show up for situations that can set you apart from the rest, and you'll be able to prosper that way. I don't know if I have answered that question. I have given that question the response that it deserves, but there are equally competent people in the room, so I hope they can also help me to respond to that question. You can also share your insights if you can. Yeah.
Modesta, please, has your question been well answered?
Well, yes, I understand the whole jumping at opportunities thing. And also, part of my question was being answered when she was talking about it before you read out my question. So, yes, I've gotten a bit more understanding that, I mean, if you do put yourself out there, if you do grab the opportunity when it's thing, it would have to force them to give you an opportunity despite your gender. So, yes, I did get hope even before the question was read out. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Modesta. Okay, still more questions coming in. I don't know how much time do we have, Desmond?
We have about 15 minutes.
Right. So I'll take the questions as I'm seeing them on the chat. There's a question from Tamika. Tamika is also one of the state babies. What strategies can women use to gain credibility and respect in male-dominated STEM teams? Yeah, respect. I think respect, there's a saying that says respect is earned. It is given to you based on how you carry yourself. That is the best way that I can answer that question. So how can you gain credibility? Show that you are able to do it, and it is you authentically doing it, not anyone else. Like I responded to Modesta, come up, show up, and make sure that you are able to show who you are as a person. I did say when I was talking about my life that the men in secondary school thought that I was being favored, and I said, okay, let's see what happens when it's neutral ground. No one knows. We don't know who is marking and whatsoever. You just want to prove them wrong. And life, the way the way God made us with that ego to always want to prove something wrong or prove something right. So don't relent in trying to make sure that you can show that you are really you. You are Tamika. Just be you. I hope I've answered your question. Okay, from Hope, it's just a comment and appreciating. Thank you, Hope, for coming.
There's one from Esther.
Esther, yeah, Esther is also one of the state babies. She's a very successful young lady. She's in America now. She's got a PhD and working in research. So thanks, Esther, for coming. What examples of emotional intelligence have you learned from your career that you can share with us? Emotional intelligence, I think, just the realization that, people are doing something and you can be able to put yourself in their shoes and be empathetic. It's a very big thing to do. It's something that you need to look at with the eyes of the other person. So I have experienced that myself. I think one of my bosses was very good at it. John Biswick, those of you from Malawi know him. He was the Commissioner General. He just retired recently. He was a very emotionally intelligent leader, and he could be able to understand, people from their perspective and be able to provide feedback in a manner that you don't feel, that push and getting hurt. So yeah, there are cases where you have seen that someone has come to work and they're doing things in a certain way, you know that what they're doing is not right, it's not right. And coming to a point of understanding what's causing them to act in that way is quite actually it takes a lot of emotional intelligence, as it were. So I've used that quite a lot in the way I get feedback from people, the way I engage people, to the point that at a certain point, I think there's some people who are also from ETHCO on the call. Thank you for coming. I'm seeing Kelvin. I don't know who else is here. People have called me too empathetic, but it's because I've mastered this art to make sure that I understand where people are coming from before I actually, do something about it, giving people a benefit of a doubt on why they're doing certain things. And more so, especially in these days and age where, mental health is quite a problem. It's a big thing. And you need to just make sure that you are able to understand where people are coming from and you are able to relate. So I can talk about, because emotional intelligence deals with people, I can't say specifics on how I've handled a certain person, but it's an art that you have to master and make sure that at the end of the day, it's not something that there's a thin line between you doing that and also making sure that you're holding people accountable. We can talk about it, Esther, outside this. I can give examples because I can't actually give any specific examples, but we can relate in a certain way. It's an art that you have to master over time. Everyone needs to have it, and I hope that we can engage more on this one.
Thank you so much for that answer. I hope, Esther, please, we hope you are okay with the response that has been given.
Yes.
That is great. That is great. That is great. So, Rasmata has a question here. It seems we skipped a bit. It says, what changes do you hope to see in our world regarding gender equality?
I think I am happy with the progress that we are making. I think there's been a lot of goodwill out there, and I was reading a certain article today that has come in. I don't know whether it's a true article, of the Danish. Is it the Danish or is it Netherlands, that is saying they want to remove some aid towards gender equality, because probably nations are seeing that it has been achieved. There are various companies, especially in the banking sector, that are showing that the numbers are growing at the top, because it's really been a question of whether at the top there are enough women. In the STEM world, I've also seen the numbers rising. If you look at some of the references that I have shared, it's showing that there's a lot of progress. And in research, a lot of the data scientists, mathematicians who are doing machine learning and interpreting data, they are women. So I am actually seeing that there's a lot of progress. I am satisfied at the moment. Yes, we can do more, but also on the other hand, not leaving the men behind, because we've been talking quite a lot about women, young women. And then someone told me at some point when I was doing a charity event, says, what about the young boys? We are leaving them behind. So we probably need to reach a point where we can balance and make sure that we are able to pay attention to both genders, because we're looking at that working age population in 2060 that needs to be productive, and it can't all just be women. Thank you.
That was a very great insight into that. Yeah. And I think that will be all for the questions now. I would like to read a comment from Vanessa. So Vanessa says, heartfelt thank you, Lusubilo, for sharing your journey. And I and the team are truly honored to have had the opportunity to learn from your inspiring presentation. It was insightful and impactful. I couldn't agree with Maya. I couldn't agree with Maya. Lusubilo, your willingness to share knowledge and uplift others is truly commendable. May you continue empowering others and may we carry it forward. Yes, that was very
Thank you
heartfelt.
so much, Vanessa. I'm truly humbled. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's continue to grow one another, because when I talk to people, when I share, when I try to empower, I'm also learning. I also learn quite a lot. So I thank God for the people in my circle and for all of you, and let's keep engaging. Let's keep engaging.
This was that was a very touching message from Vanessa. Vanessa, thank you so much. So all too soon we have come to the end of this inspiring journey session. Was very great, was very impactful. I mean, we couldn't have had anybody else to fit this program than Lusubilo, and we are very grateful, Mrs. Lusubilo, for such an amazing session that you've had with us. And yes, we are very insightful. For me, myself, I've learned a lot from the session today about your talk on how role modeling is very important, and also how you have to stay afloat in the industry and being humble, and how you were handling being versatile in the workplace. It's been a very, very insightful session, and I am glad that you were able to join us for today's session. Yes. I would like to say also thank you to Vanessa. Vanessa, thank you so much for getting us Lusubilo for this session. This has been a very wonderful session. Vanessa, thank you so much. Also acknowledge the presence of Rasmata, who is also with Leading Change, and Kingsley is also with Leading Change. Thank you all for coming. Also acknowledge our deputy director also has been around. Also, it's been a very insightful session. Also, very big thank you to everybody who's been part of this session. It's been very interactive. It's been very insightful, very educational. I mean, it merits the name Inspiring Journeys. This is a very inspiring journey that has been shared with us, and we are very, very thankful for such a journey. Mrs. Lusubilo, we are very thankful for joining us, and we know that in future, when we call upon you again, we know that you would always have time for us to share your insightful stories and also your impactful journeys on how you've been able to break the barriers and achieve what you've been able to do. It's been very uncommon for women to rise that much in STEM, because mostly women are perceived to like the arts. Women are perceived to always be in the arts section, but for a woman to thrive in the STEM, to be a CEO, I mean, that's very impressive. And we say that we are very appreciative once again. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and for everyone who attended. Thank you for coming. God bless you all. Yeah.
On this note, we would like to end the session. We would say, God bless everybody for joining us today. And as and when we are having the next session, we would call on you to also be part of us. And yes, we are all grateful for joining us for today. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day or
Thank
evening,
you.
wherever you are.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.